So like the human right now, that is new kind of even to like the they might be suddenly unaware of that the return of that whole through that the theory of that principal rules might be that the different is the legal information that about that part like lectures might have not revealed to that kind of might have purpose to like clarify them or like might have felt might have that because we felt that not relevant enough to that even reveal to that even to tell to some kind of might be the case that so like definitely from Tyler's perspective, kind of into like the person situations like Tyler was present at like the festival during that while this black hole attack on like Robert had taken place. So like the police lab even to the person like maybe Tyler's like belief might be like the exact version of like what Wednesday had told Tyler about like around the attack by like this monster and like around going missing. And like Tyler might be into the person might be probably thinking that like either around is like something that or like around it's like normal might be what like Tyler might be believing into like something that Lehman created. So definitely this might be the reason for like silence like present at present at like the crime scene where like around like attacked by the criminal might have been solely due to like Tyler totally definitely since like Tyler totally knows of that was that to a certain extent of like this like that Tyler's father had towards that Wednesday's father like Roma like basically and that like probabilistic like kind of mindset towards like the Adam family which like Tyler might have strongly felt from that Tyler father. So definitely the thing Tyler might be wanting to be definitely from Tyler's perspective into the film like Tyler would be confident that like Wednesday would never commit such a crime. So definitely Wednesday reflect of the innocent in this like missing or like of that comes into that own work in that like kind of maybe I'm feeling up really confident about the legal document. So like the last thing kind of might be wanting to be for like kind of to like find like for the kind of like father which are to like find some sort of like an evidence from like the crime scene which might give the impression to his like father with that optimistic mindset of that straightaway assumption that of like Wednesday being like the culprit behind like the missing of like and missing of like the Rowan. That might be such an interesting scenario might be like that and that way for like Wednesday to get falsely framed and accused that way might be like the last thing that might be like the one thing that like kind of might be extremely concerned about and might be like the last thing that kind of might be wanting to definitely so like in order for that like and in order to prevent such a scenario like and might be the reason for like Tyler's at present at like the crime scene location. It's definitely not the so like it might be not just right now, but like I'm like it might be after like the initial investigation by like Tyler's like father of like the crime scene, like after he might have like understand like Tyler that very nice felt like made out stealthily sneaked out of its platform and might have shown to like the crime scene to like check for like any sort of like evidence and might have by now even found like an evidence I might have hoped to like basically maybe find an evidence which like just like show the father might have looked so like definitely that way Tyler from that very night itself on the dates like following like had like the crime scene when like Tyler might have shown up to like the crime scene with that pistol and such fancy and the previous search for like any sort of evidence and might have even found some sort of like a specific evidence comes to like which might be absolutely matter that evidence that like I might have found from the very first night might have been maybe broken piece of black around like last stained with black that might be like the case definitely necessary. So definitely lag and this might be at present might be like the second night in which like Tyler might have decided to like steadily with that action itself to take advantage of like the darkness of like the night like to steadily show up to once again to like the crime scene and basically to once again steadily search for like any more evidence which like the sheriff as well as like Tyler might have and basically to collect all this evidence for himself and for him to like together with that action itself investigate uh, uh, and again investigate and try to like find out like the culprit and the force behind like the situation of that anything of that around with like Wednesday might be Ioda's plan without just like Sheriff Father finding out about the evidence which might end up in like Wednesday wrongfully getting falsely getting like gives us like the culprit behind the thinking of that avoid might be along the lines like Tyler's fear might be and this might be the reason for like the current presence of like Tyler at like the crime scene, and that Tyler completely quickly that saving Wednesday from like father, like Bishop father, like even seeing Wednesday might be all due to that completely due to that all the situations might be like accurate with it, like that. Like one possibility that I was saying that the possibility that I was saying is for like maybe like Bishop after like basically returning back after like interacting with like the principal beings and like once like around have principal beings have like totally tricked like Bishop and all of them by like shape shifting and returning and like to like never more like basically uh on that very night itself once like the sheriff has returned back home. He might have maybe later revealed to like Tyler about like basically he might have told Tyler that it was all like Wednesday's like delusion that like Wednesday's story about the monster attack on like Roy and everything. Might be along the lines of the like in a casual manner like Tyler's like father might have told Tyler, but like that's a different situation might have been that even before that like after like Tyler's father might have investigated like the crime scene and after investigating like the crime scene during my time once like he had head over to like more to like speak with like Vincent Wednesday like at that point I was thinking that Tyler might have stealthily shown up to the crime scene and like must probably investigated like stealthily investigated like looked around like the crime scene for like any sort of evidence and might have most likely found like a broken glass piece with like blood stain on it. Might be like the case, but maybe like that way eventually once like Tyler's father might have returned from like the Nevermore after like speaking with like Queens and Wednesday and might have revealed to like Tyler about like it all being Wednesday's like illusion about like the story of the blood like at that point I'm inside of definitely myself definitely believe like Wednesday's version of like the story so definitely mental stimulation and definitely like due to like the evidence of like the sort and glass piece like the stain blood stain on it definitely Tiger might have been absolutely struck and might have strongly felt that like that last piece might be definitely belong to like Rowan with the along the lines like Tyler might have strongly felt. So like definitely understand that Tyler might have strongly felt being some sort of like a secret recurring more like connected to this whole situation might be along the lines like and so extreme style might have like extreme suspicious about like sudden like return of like around after like this whole crime situation like the sudden return of like around without any injury and with this glass incident that being in mention like about what like Tiger might have strongly felt extreme suspicion so like Tiger might have really firmly believed like the version of the story of the monster attack on like around by Wednesday's that leaving on the dimension. So like that lead to find out more evidence like which like I might have hoped to find but the country might be the reason for like high up person me showing up to like the country at like person and that way like I think the best way might be the case the claims for him. So like even in the case of like Tyler's father like the chef like even though he had basically um even though like around like a return like at that point like he might have been maybe convinced that basically that like that might all be the story of like more attack on Rome might have all been like Wednesday's like delusion like I'm still uh, as time passed like he might have like even Tyler's father as well eventually might have felt something still totally off with like the way people beings dealt with that and basically with like the situation even being like the sudden uh, expulsion spelling of that on from that more that maybe like means that maybe that even that without any reason as well. Like maybe all this factor as well might be what might have even been like factor that might have suddenly created like the situation within like Tyler's father and like something to like bring like maybe like the clean like again. So like this might have been like the triggering factor that might have suddenly like Tyler's father confident feeling suspicious about like the whole situation and basically in even deciding to that once again stealthily investigate like the crime scene come to like that on floor and that might be the reason for like Tyler's father's like present in like the middle of the night with that scripted by himself on like the crime scene right now. So might be the case like one of us with that was very right. So like the name of crime scene right now that basically when space like power of that vision the person might be slowly starting to let go step might be like that situation in the current and because like definitely while in the case of like back in like Nancy Reagan school when they had like the initial research. vision of like connected to like Wednesday's sort of big attack, like as well as in the case of like Wednesday's like vision connecting to like the old man like transporting apples, like those 2 points, like it might not have been like visions of like the recent past alone that like Wednesday might have been able to see through her vision power. But like I'm referring like in the case of like Wednesday colliding with like Rowan, like basically in the case of like Rowan, like Wednesday might not have been able to like see like the recent past visions as well as like the close future vision as well. So like that might be totally Wednesday's like vision power like growing and enhancing and like like maybe like that obsidian like that symbol like thing of like W and which like what they had given to like Wednesday. Maybe its presence might lead up might be consciously left by Motisha to Wednesday, might be most likely being well fully aware of like Wednesday having inherited like the same mission powers as to have like Wednesday, that power of like Wednesday, while in like never more like quickly you can grow, or to like quickly develop and grow stronger, might be with that conscious intent like Motisha might have given that WM obsidian to like Wednesday. Might be like that situation that we might because like definitely Motisha might have expected like Wednesday to like get into like most likely get into like serious trouble. Definitely about this like Wednesday like favorite unsolved crime case like and definitely might be a crime case that might have happened back when like Motisha as well as like Thomas like Wednesday's father might have been were like studying as like students at like never more might have been at the case of revenge. So definitely Mopisha might, as well as bombs might be fully aware, like even while them sending like Wednesday to like never more like they might be only fully aware of like the dangers like and like the mysteries surrounding like never more from like there is back when they left from maybe like the case definitely went for invasion. So like maybe like they might even believe that they see for like Wednesday to like definitely was written by the time Wednesday got expelled from like Nancy Reagan school, like maybe Mopisha as well as like Thomas might have been feeling even confident enough in like Wednesday that basically for like Wednesday to like eventually like uncover all that mystery connecting to like nevermore and like something to like that favorite chance of crime case or like Wednesday from like that system of like Wednesday eventually succeeding in like solving all that and bring out like the culprit which back then like Thomas as well as like much back while there was students might or Australia attended at like finding out like the culprit behind those crimes. Well, like they had said, might have been so like they might be only making all that hopes and confidence in like Wednesday succeeding where they had failed from that the path might be also the case that never finished. So yet like there was also that side of like well there with the side of like that hope and confidence in like Wednesday succeeding where they had failed like there was also that side of like that absolute worry as well connecting to like Wednesday might be the reason for like definitely more official leaving like I mean like almost like sending thing the hand thing with like Wednesday to be that absolute protection guardian figure for like Wednesday, as well as like Motisha giving this like obsidian symbol like W and object as well, which might be definitely to like quickly as soon as possible for like Wednesday like vision powers to like get enhanced even faster. Might be like the if so that like that would probably uh, play a major role as well in like keeping Wednesday protected and like away from like helping Wednesday in that keeping her away from like serious dangers of uh, would be and helping Wednesday in like solving the mysteries of like of like never as well might be along the lines not share as well as one might be that person the proper of so like it might be also after like Motisha might have found out that like realized that like Wednesday had inherited like Motisha's like mission power that like Motisha along with like Thomas might have felt like like courageous enough to like send Wednesday to like nevermore might be also the case that we never celebration. So like the claim of redemption right now is that really like the vision that is the Wednesday had seen something to like and like the fact that like Wednesday have not only seen like the book and like the location where like that book was like which might be definitely a location within nevermore itself, but definitely a celebration. And definitely as for like how Rowan might have known about like the presence of that book exactly at like nevermore might have been so might have been most likely so Cohen as well, most likely having a vision because of like definitely and like definitely since like Owen's like mother. have been revealed to also be a seer and also seer powers like and literally like Rowan might have started to only start to like inherit that power, and it might have been like the very first vision that like Rowan might have had, which might have resulted in like Rowan being able to uh, find out like that secret location within that node node where like all these like visions of like around like with of like the wrong wrong like mother have might have been like a element range. But like in like Rowan's like vision like Rowan what Rowan might have seen might have been solely Rowan like going up to that exact secret like the like no more and picking this exact single book among like those great number of books and like Rowan seeing this exact uh, like vision which like one's mother have has her own like instant task of like basically this like fight between like which I'm definitely think like happening like this bit of inactivity as well between like Wednesday and like this like misleaders man definitely not the ambition. So definitely it might be solely because of that around already like around like not having one around about like Wednesday and that being the reason for like on smothering send it going to like never more that like conflict focus might have been solely on Wednesday. So like that might be the sole reason for like around like not checking out like all the other great names of present in that library kind of like section where like each and every single one of those books might contain like all the great number of like promotion drawings like which like around mother might have this until her last might have been like the case of new introduction. So they remember from that like the reason for like the culprit behind like around mother's like elimination might have like been like being spot of substance might be like that specific situations that you know and meaning what those about it like it's like reading that in segments that you know because like towards like before like around mother got taken out like she might have had like promotion going well about like this as well. Like it might be only at that point that they didn't realize that the promotion wrong that she has wrong so far was actually about like dreams as well as like her boyfriend who might have been like it's like Edgar Allan Poe might have been like the classmate of like Thomas as well as like Mokisha as well as like James as well as like Owen's mother. It might have been like the case that even the range. So definitely just at that time that the promotion drawing that Owen's mother was like one of was about them, uh, was about like dreams as well as like uh, uh, as well as her husband and basically in like basically in like the past like that pair control crime case of like Wednesday like basically that as well was like actually like the doctor behind that as well being like either that boyfriend of dreams either Edgar Allan Poe or like Edgar Allan Poe as well as like dreams might have been an accomplice behind like the concept behind that crime might have been like so like all this like realization might have probably happened to like everyone's mother through her like final promotion point. And like at that point, she might have been extremely disregarded and she might have straight away most likely called that means and might have shouted out at her about like how she's being going to the top families to be about like all the illness victims that like Vincent the Ellen Poe has done so far. So it might be at that point and to be another it might have been things that might have quickly called like Edgar Allan Poe. Who at present might be such an extremely popular and influential figure. So like I'm considering like it would influence like he might have gotten like uh someone to like take out like around small of the that instead before like phone mother to even make it to like restrictions of like evidence and that way like even that final evidence crucial evidence of like that final drawing which like Ron's mother might have known about which like Ron might be absolutely only unaware of and neither Ron's father as well may be only unaware of is the female thing so and definitely even Ron as well as father even the person might be only even believing that like the loss of like this like Ron's like mother was due to an accident or like attack by a wild animal. When in actuality, it might have been like most likely an attack orchestrated by most likely a talent for and like beings by some like subordinate like they might have sent might have been like the case that you know the infection and like that that might have been framed to like make it appear as if like it was like an accident or like an attack by a wildlife that might have been like the case. This might be what like Rowan Tuscan Rowan might be really into the person's definitely not right. So like after like taking out like Rowan's mother like that crucial evidence of that final drawing by Rowan's of like Peter's egg by Rowan's mother, which might have like the potential to like clearly make it evident that basically that means as well as Edgar Allan Poe conducted to calculate equivalence like that drawing as well might be safely sealed within that secret library like location at like uh, within like Nevermore. I think might be like that with the situation and like that later on might have missed that book which might have been present maybe like right next to like the book that one had taken out and seen like Wednesday like basically the wrong of like Wednesday fighting out against this man and that man will might be totally at the running for so like that in that vision of like recent vision of like Wednesday connected to later on like definitely in like the past year of that like Wednesday had seen like that library kind of location and that book like along with like the which that Wednesday had also seen this like eagle as well like that eagle might have definitely been in how like shape shifted form so definitely for like definitely due to like most like the fundamental in those like secret library location might be an extremely like top secret place within like Nevermore so definitely we might have set up like all sorts of like stealthy alert setups for like if anyone even finds that library and it's written to like that library actually for like means to get a lot of like means might have like set up such kind of like an alert system so like that way like means might have on like on might have enters that like, secret library kind of location and might have been checking out like that single book like at that point like on the like that either in like condition of like Wednesday might have like maybe in wings upsides might be like practice the situation that you know so like we might have at that point so like might have fixed in her mind to like actually to like take out Rowan as soon as possible. So like we might have planned to like basically take out Rowan after like the festival that day that night would be over and once like around the running that like maybe the player is like Rowan might have definitely had like absolutely no not even say that might even hang out with like around that or might be like the case so like but leading might have been at least aware of the sector. So like while we might have been planning on like actually taking around out like Rowan media running back to like Nevermore all along from like the festival might be along the lines like we might have planned. So like these might have been had like the festival might have simultaneously attempted to like keep a close sharp eyes on both Wednesday as well as like around might have been like the case definitely. So like once like Wednesday uh once like things alongside of like Wednesday at that point like things might have also alongside of like around Wednesday might have been what might have happened. It's also like leak might into the friction right. So like we am still remember the relation that like the third victim that the man who was like attacked by like the monster and like the close to that never was might have definitely been like around like part of might be like the and this might have been like that happening on like the very day like Wednesday had joined like never was might have been like that social triggering factor that might have caused like Owen to like complete get like extremely triggered and like extremely emotional and frustrated and like completely like painting Wednesday at that absolute target that like, he wants to like completely bring down. And this might be like the reason like it might have been once like Owen might have shortly found out about like the loss of his like father and on like the very day that he might have definitely caught up and seen Wednesday like joining Nevermore and like seeing Wednesday might have only reminded him of like the drawing by this like mother definitely like in like Kristen does like I'm remembering like around like mother might have so drawing before sending it to like Nevermore to Queens might be like a to like eventually I'm just like even though initially Queens as well as like there are both while being classmates of like mother and Monica might have eventually made fun initially made might have made fun of like positions of like Monica as well as like Royals not like even though I'm also cutting like the case of like motivation, her relations might have been all connected to like her own life alone, like basically situations in dangers like or trouble situations which like she herself would be getting into alone might be like the only visions that like Motisha might have been having to definitely meditation. Unlike in the case of like Ron's mother, where like in like Ron's mother's like visions like their conceptions might have been like the wrong that she might have been like Ron's mother like the definitely her vision power like and the like she might have not been able to like actually see like the mission unlike Wednesday, but like the case of Ron's number, it might have been like initially having the vision from Jack the Ron's might be like the case of the funeral for him. Ron's mother might have eventually been from having one of like the visions and vision Ron's like literally things might have just by chance it might have happened to like see it and like basically or like Ron's mother might have been innocently without realizing that that vision was like connected to like scenes and that she might have innocently might have been desperately once again like attempting to like make dreams believe that like her visions are true and these so things on happening to like this point might have certainly have might have had like shocking realization that like the visions of the clear on mother is like actually true and like definitely is connected to like the secret the person's secrets like the between Edgar Allan Poe who might back then might have been like boyfriend of that means and that means in that person like that the secret like the realistic crimes that they might have planned or they might have committed back then to eventually frame and bring down Morticia by eventually making it seem as if like Morticia was like the culprit behind that crime so that like Edgar Allan Poe could graduate as like the most popular alumni of like Nevermore like basically to make this happen like they might have maybe by then like might have planned for like even executed like that you know crime might have been like really so like it might be connected to that crimes that about which like actually back then like the run for as well as like we alone might have sort of like that like one's mother might have innocently drawn out through like promotion or that and like while Ron's like mother had might have had like a no idea what it was about like and it's still things one happening to let's see promotion or might have focused on that at the getting and like then as if to like basically as if she's like only extremely interested and like might have praised or like powers of like promotion and basically that way might have gotten that um, about like mother to like basically agree to beings to like send each and every single one of the like promotion points that we she has like from Papa as well as like each and every single one of the promotion points that she will be have drawn in like a picture of well or to like these straight away like and then she will be also that way like at least once like around like mother might have back when like before like around even going never not back then it's the remember that like neither one nor it's like father might have even believe that like Ron's mother had any sort of like sheer powers or anything but like I'm just like definitely yeah like while because she would be having like have like pronunciation points like and like each time she would be wrong it like she would be spending it straight away to like never not towards like it might be like against prayer. So like at least just one of the close points that which might have made like around Rome's like mother like seemed disturbed and unsettled like that alone like she might have redrawn that same very same promotion point and that exact promotion points might have been like the promotion drawing of like basically Wednesday in like the future like basically what appears to be like fighting off against like this man whom definitely might be like Edgar Allan Poe in like the same future. And basically like this like vision drawing about like Wednesday destroying like and everything. So definitely destroying their own like and like one's mother might have drawn out a copy of and kept it at her home and might have even showed like her own as well as like his father practice might be like the case that he mentioned. So this might be how that Owen might have been able to connect while Wednesday had like while Owen might have only gotten that absolute shock of like basically like losing his like father, which might have been what might have happened as like the man like the third victim of like the monster like and basically on that very day with like on that very day that like Wednesday had joined like Italy at that point like spring like uh Rowan might have only like remembered like Wednesday from like that Rowan in like the path that like Rowan might have showed uh Rowan and basically it might be at that point that like Rowan might have been so extremely frustrated and sad and disturbed and like it might have been that as a frustration Rowan like that really trying to like convince like savior that basically that Wednesday uh connecting to like Wednesday and like that drawing about like that is like on like another had on like the bus and that like Wednesday to introduce Troy like the entirety of like more like and the network uh Rowan back then might have been really trying to like convince like Savior and this might be like the present vision through like Rowan was that like Wednesday will be right now saying to be that quarrel between Savior who basically might be totally obsessed with like Wednesday with that being the perfect thing towards like Wednesday and Rowan was like trying to like be convinced, desperately convinced like Saber that like Wednesday is like that absolute thing that will eventually destroy like then that like never more. So this might be how that swap might have happened between like Saber and Rowan, which like that might be what like Wednesday right now through like Rowan's boss might be seeing Stephanie might be there. Like the game still remember the mention that like the monster that took out Rowan might definitely be Savior It's definitely my personal impression. And definitely Savior might be totally unaware of that any of like the past realistic, past and like the certain realistic things that means might have done in like the past as well, might be doing even like the percentages like the most of that in like close to like the past to like never more like repeatedly happening like for that might be like the work of like memes as well as like keyboard as well as like downhill might be like his definitely no relation. So about all this like and like say that might be totally unaware of sure. Definitely my relation. So definitely like while also statistically my premise that like according to my preparation like say that might inactivity be like been and some might be like also the same definitely my premise. So definitely about which like absolutely known might be well definitely also Vince might have kept that information as well secret might be from everyone as well might be also the case that you might be saying. So yeah, so I'm still in the my premise that like Sager as well as like anything might be siblings and might be like the kids of like basically the offspring of like Edgar Allan Poe and please might be like the actual situation about which like neither Savior or like anything that might be even aware of it. Like also like another possibility that I'm looking so like that lead like Edgar Allan Poe as well as like things might have been so such that like literally bringing down like the Adams family that like that might have been maybe like only thing in their mind at that time because of like that fear maybe due to like motivation having like the power of like solution like that might have been and even once so like they might have had that fear that basically that favorite unquote crime case of like Wednesday. Basically it might have been like that crime case that might have ended up becoming like the turning point in that Queens as well as like Edgar Allan Poe's life and eventually might have ended up with like Edgar Allan Poe like graduating as like the most popular alumni of like Nevermore instead of like North as well as like being eventually ending up with a like Nevermore and everything might have been like the case. So like definitely that the power that North possesses of like Lucian might have like the potential of like basically destroying all this like image that like Vince as well as like uh Edgar Allan Poe have to even to like the person and like everything that they might be believing that they have achieved until like the person like basically the potential to like instantly destroy it or and put them behind bars that would be like the visions of like what they might be having. It's definitely meant to through. So like definitely once like they might have been stealthily stopped not to share within that time and like not to share like that family within that times but like due to like the Adam's family definitely like definitely eventually like like put the friend like every member of like that journey, even Thomas as well might have actually ended up like acquiring powers himself might be like also the case like and it might have been after like graduating from like Nevermore. Might be also the case that you know to like the Adams family might have finished that they got built up like in a strong manner and like their home as well. Their mansion might be totally a mansion like and might be totally like an absolute fortress and everything. So definitely like taking down like that so we might have been like an impossible seeming task maybe for like even for like a job and then go as well as like this might be like so like definitely understand like the biggest care that might have happened to them might have been once like they might have shortly found out about like basically what the gen and like into having like two children like for like the possibility of like basically the children like inheriting like the power of like the vision of like what we can might have also like that possibility as well might have given like Edgar Allan Poe as well as being that absolute threatening kind of like the scare kind of like a possibility of like a thing might be also the case with niche might be the so the man also so even while Edgar Allan Poe and Queens might have had like two children like Fraser as well as like anything that like I'm doing like their focus might have totally been on like bring down like the perspective of like the Adam family that like they might have had like industry they have might have had like absolutely no time at all for like failure and like anything left. So like and bring against them like they might have had like a uh, uh, savior as well as like anything that that get adopted by a totally different family or something might have been what might have happened certainly might be very unfortunate. Definitely on the spring name into the person like savior as well as in similar might be totally unaware of like basically sending like the offspring of like wind as well as like Edgar and Bo might be like that two situations also like a possibility that I'm considering and definitely in the case of like any singular like I'm saying there might be definitely stealthy secret order from like Queens already things like even like on like the very previous day before like Wednesday had even joined like more set like a definitely means might have given like the stealthy order to anything like promising have like benefit for like change for like reporting on everything connected to like Wednesday. And basically that way like definitely to like things and basically that way like I'm bring like things might have consciously ensured to like have any singular success be like the roommate for like Wednesday. So that might be the case and like so definitely I'm wondering like in singular secretly might be speak on having that goodness with her and hence like in singular even while each every single day like in singular inactivity might be steadily reporting everything about like Wednesday will be doing each day like to that means like still like anything like that the more she will be doing that like the more the guilds might be forming within her maybe like that to the principles especially in celebration and certainly this might be the reason for like anything like being like of extremely nice and polite with like Wednesday it's definitely also like totally not wrong social and everything might be also like that in the situation the police might be good intention. So definitely this like get certain like anything like which I'm not likely being present like eventually will be ending up reaching a breaking point eventually like the same situation where like I'm like anything like totally tearing up in front of like Wednesday and like totally shockingly revealing the like project from it to that Wednesday that she is like a fight like assigned by Beans. Like even while being like a student of like Neuromorph, she's also like a fight as well, assigned by Beans to like a report from like everything Wednesday to like these to see along the lines of like an eventual future breakdown kind of like a situation happening for like anything similar and like such confession happening for like and accused revelation happening by anything similar to like Wednesday. It's like also like in individual possible scenarios that I was about to bring up range. Sitting the mention that like might have been like the saver that might have been like the not that attack like uh Owen. So like definitely might be definitely for like two reasons and that like it might be the, that might have probably bottom end of black hole evidence like attempted to like get rid of all evidence in that crime scene. Basically might have been definitely for her to like simultaneously at the same time made to like save her son savior as well as like even more than that like the priority for beings might for might be extremely selfish might be to like definitely to not derail like the investigation of like the sheriff on like basically on like this like misleaded like monster who goes around like repeatedly attacking that humans around like the area close to like close to the area close to like never more like basically this plan would be to like probably have eventually like Wednesday get framed as like the culprit and like as this like monster might get definitely means plan. So like definitely the attack pattern of like savior while attacking Owen as well as like the attack pattern that this monster which might have been definitely in her like shapeshifted werewolf form might during her like attack and like in the case of like the buff three victims and everything might be like that pattern might be different. So like to not have like the sheriff get derailed into like thinking as if like comes down to like the conclusion of the box that there are being two different monsters like instead like for like the instead for like the sheriff to probably assume and proceed along the lines of thinking as if like that's only a single monster and it's eventually to bring Wednesday as that single monster villainous culprit. Might be definitely what that Vince might be planning, especially when it mentioned this might be also the reason for like Vince at present definitely being said, and like at that point for like basically the scenario being like the situation of Wednesday being not only Wednesday alone getting into trouble, but like along with like musician, like the entirety of like and family getting into trouble and he gets getting put behind bars might be definitely like a large scale like realistic plan that like things might be having definitely might be generation and this might be the main reason for like things at present like basically clearing up like the it might have definitely in ways that might have cleared up like the evidence in like the crime scene. And that way like using that whole situation to like frame Wednesday has like Wednesday having like hallucinations or like delusion of showing delusional behavior in front of like the show might be like that creative the situation like what might have actually happened is definitely might be different. And that the name and preemption right now definitely is that like the night shades might have been definitely been very much active back when like Motuja beans as well as like Thomas as well as like Center and then both might have been all as well as like Ron's mother might have been all studying students at like never more might be like that to such as remote permission. Since I don't remember permission, like import as well as content might have been like might actually be the possibilities of like when it comes to them as well back then might have been students of like never more. During that time might have been attracted students like remote permission. So like definitely might be the right now that like the student society group, like the night shifts, like might have been the founder itself might be like might have been like Edgar Allan Poe, might be like that creative secret definitely very much. So like and like the members of like the night shifts might have been like Edgar Allan Poe, Dreams as well as like two siblings, like basically this might be like Kimbot as well as like Kimbot as well as like content might have been like that creative institutions definitely very much. So definitely this like watermark like that Wednesday right now from like the book in that Wednesday's vision that basically right now Wednesday showing that to lack content might have definitely like care content as to that basically lack the truth. Definitely the content is definitely definitely means might have by now probably revealed that might have definitely revealed by now that basically their worst fear has turned out into like a reality that like Wednesday does have like the inherited like the power of vision of like no and then along the lines like I might get only aware of the film of currently. Yet like I'm like Wednesday already showing that like symbol of the like current society in the United States like basically already like Wednesday showing that but like even being a flexi that prohibition might have definitely caused like stare and panic within like within Townhill right now at present which like Townhill might be really trying to like hide in front of like Wednesday might be like that situation that you remember so like Townhill would be right now itself like would be in a panicky manner like straight away reporting this to the black screen as well as Kimball as soon as possible. That's definitely my theory. And the theory of fiction right now is that like basically maybe like that whole student society like the night shifts might have even been created like by Edgar Allan Poe. With that absolute sole intent to like bring down Morticia might have been like the case, especially in Australia. So like people like Morticia back then might have been excelling far better than like Edgar Allan Poe and that way like they might have like Edgar Allan Poe as well as like this like girl one might have been James back then along with their siblings like all of them might have been extremely jealous of like Morticia and her son. So like definitely to like definitely bring down Morticia and get like Morticia expelled and maybe even put behind bars basically and so that the Edgar Allan Poe as well as like memes as well as them also to like graduate as like top students and everything might be like might be along the lines like when we due to their extreme jealousy towards like Norway and with their absolute goal to like bring down what is than like this like group of like nightshades might have been even created because like they might and the reason for it being called nightshades might be due to like them probably making all of their movements like during night time, you know. So like I'm telling them as well might have uh, committed maybe more than one uh, crime might be also the case. Like the nightshades as like a group might have targeted like innocent people in like the spots during like nighttime and might have taken them out and basically to literally falsely bring Morticia as like the culprits and basically like that way get Morticia expelled might be like the case with Clement. So like it might be a series of like crimes that might have taken place that way. In that distant past, while Morticia and like Queens and like Edgar Allan Poe might have been all students might be like the favorite unsolved crime case of Black Wednesday. It might not be even a single case, but like a series of black crime cases that might have happened occurred during that time. Might be also the actual situation. It's also like a public trend. So like definitely experience right now that like content exactly like Win as well as Kimbot might be actually a blonde in actual case the name of trend. So like current hair that like content have might be most likely a secret wig might be like the actual thing of the situation that Lima potential. Also like the Lima parameters that like to fight that like wins like content as well as Kimbot half siblings, which might actually be the case of fundamental potential in front of like the parents family might be of like extremely high priority of that might be like the case of implementation. And this might be the reason for like I think like basically while during the admission of like Wednesday to like Nevermore, I think that if you think of like the therapist or like asking something connected to like therapist and basically being like basically not having like the like definitely what might have actually happened might be definitely like none of like the ants family like neither Thomas nor like Makusha might have not even during like admission of like Wednesday and like like even before like the admission of Wednesday like um the fact that two crimes took place in like the past close to like Nevermore, even before like the day of like the admission of like Wednesday might lead up me to like most likely during both those two days in which like those two crimes 2 days in which like those two crimes took place definitely Thomas as well as like Morticia might have showed up to like Nevermore to like to take a look around like Nevermore and everything before admitting like Wednesday to like Nevermore might be like that sort of situation. So like it might have been all part of like the whole training strategy, villain's strategy against like the that family that like on that exact day, like after they left, after like Morticia and Thomas might have left, and definitely Vince might have committed those two crimes might have been what might have happened in actuality is definitely my friend. So definitely I'm different in total like in different forms as well as Movisha might have showed up to never walk in before admitting Wednesday the third time on like the third day even before that 2 days and on that very week itself Movisha as well as Movisha might have showed up to never might be like that will be affected with the climate and these 3 times and that also might be connected to the concern and worry that might definitely be present as well within Movisha as well as bombs connected to having that thought Wednesday the being studying in Nevermore and joining Nevermore and everything might be also the case definitely so that both those 2 times that bombs as well as Movisha might have showed up to Nevermore before admitting Wednesday and those 2 times things might have said some sort of an excuse for the excuse of reason to ensure to not have bonus as well as Morticia not be able to meet neither the door monk as well as Sotarapis might be the actual incident. So those 2 times and the third time when Moffitt alone, Thomas and Fraud, Wednesday, on the day of the admission of Wednesday, on these 3 days, they might have not seen, neither content nor Kimbot might be active because definitely because if they saw either Kimbot or content, they might instantly recognize Kimbot as well as content as the siblings of the might be the actual given situation that it might be the last thing that and that way for Wednesday as well to know this might be the last thing that wings as well as pinboard as well as content might be what connecting to the eventual fuse tracks of the frame against talents and they will be planning especially it might be the rate. So this might be also connected to this be most the reason for account member frame and so uh content most likely wearing a red hair wig but in actuality content as well most likely it might be anything that beans as well as pinboard especially my friend so the name I'm representing right now is that Wednesday and person might be totally consciously thoroughly studying topic. And that way consciously might be totally that person might be totally putting on that as big action as a she totally concept definitely on premise. So Wednesday at person will be having that experience of vision connecting to content. Especially because of it being content that had taken over to the station and definitely think suddenly the appearance of Robert from station that coupled with basically Wednesday at present basically in that part of defining the classes of Rowan and then that way having that sonic confirmation that on top of that tone page from the book that Rowan had basically given to the given to Wednesday on top of that around glass broken glass as well basically from the crime scene basically so or while adding all this up basically that person definitely Wednesday would be might be definitely having that experience sufficient towards content. That's definitely my preference. Probably along the line, same kind of levels of that of themes Wednesday will have that same sufficient towards content. That's definitely my preference. So definitely Wednesday at proper basically so casually basically showing that more symbol from the vision Wednesday's vision of the book to content might be definitely a conscious strategy by Wednesday to totally to have that fresh blind reaction of content facial reaction of the content when all of them she will be faced with that when the moment Wednesday will be showing that symbol out of the blue to totally have to like Wednesday might be totally expecting it. Since like Wednesday at present we have that experience suspicion towards like counting like that facial expression which like Wednesday would be totally open for like a facial expression of like uneasiness and like tense and panic which like contribute desperately trying to like hide like from Wednesday. Would be what like Wednesday might have been basically expecting to like see and like at present like that might be exactly what like Wednesday might have what uh at present is definitely my trend. So like it might be consciously that like Wednesday right now even showing that content that image drawing of like the symbol on like the book of like Wednesday, which might be a concept that by Wednesday to like catch like the facial expression of like content. That might be like that's the situation of certainly my friends. They I'm going to bring like Wednesday about the home strategy will be totally coupling that with like Wednesday's like don't think in front of like content and totally to pretend as if like Wednesday absolutely trust content and like basically like Wednesday is showing the like symbol as well from like the book to like content or that might be totally part of like Wednesday's strategy to like probably trick content into like giving content that feeling as if like Wednesday thoroughly trust content and that way through trickery to like totally have content eventually let guard house and basically for like Wednesday that way to like find out more about like the mysteries and suspicious connecting to like content and like the missing of like or might be in the like Wednesday's current plan might be that that will get evidence we might have to like function right now. So like definitely my reason right now is definitely for like instead of like finding like the purple book at like previous like for talking like Wednesday most likely finding a totally different color book and that would be most likely containing like steps written by Savior to totally containing like strategies and plans written by Savior who like eventually get like Wednesday to like Savior and fall madly in love with like Savior. Is what I'm going to bring right now. Wednesday would be most likely finding in like Savior's like that's like the scenario that I'm also going to make and my big impression right now. So like the name of the impression that is sitting on the me that like Owen might have only recently like inherited like the vision based like drawing future promotes and like drawing powers of like Rowan's mother only recently might be like that different situation. So like the three drawings in like that book of like Wednesday as well as like this like the monster like creature as well as like this like bird, either like bird like or like like basically these three drawings might have definitely been thrown not by Saga but like uh, definitely by Rowan might be like that type of like situation. Like Rowan might have only just maybe like right before like when they had like joined event never more like maybe it might have been like the previous day before like Wednesday joined Nevermore. It might have been like the very previous day that that coin might have had like this like first uh written drawing happened to him and like he might have drawn like the third drawn like the picture of like Wednesday. First might be like the case active communication of what might have happened with me, but like it might be after that like he might have drawn like the picture of like the creature as well as like the about the picture of like, the bird might have been what might have happened and might have been like the order in which later on might have wrong this later on using through this like sheer power which might have been starting to like happen with the later on as well. Like might have been like that with the especially on the in short like the Korean questions are like Rowan might have exactly thrown like the face of like Wednesday one like the very previous day before like Wednesday joined like no might have been what might have actually happened and basically on that day when Owen might have kept silent and that one like on like the very next day Owen had like might have talking seen like Wednesday the very same girl in like the wrong like joining like no more like at that point I'm thinking like Owen might maybe it might be at that point that like Owen and like on that very day when might have been when like Owen might have lost like also like at that point like especially the first man like once like Ron might have been trying to like convince like Trigger it might be at that point like Saber might have totally felt that basically in that like Rowan group like the face of like Wednesday after like seeing Wednesday might be along the lines like Saber might have assumed that might have been totally unwilling to that space or might have been like also the case especially might have been opportunities might have resulted in that the last gap between that Rowan as well as Saber and one that Rowan might have mentioned that this that numbers that 3% bonus and basically that like was taking this like a with advancement eventually for instance like that absolute destruction of like the industry of technology might have been what had happened certainly like definitely what I'm saying right now is that since Wednesday at open is aware that Ron's Nova had sheer powers basically. So definitely Wednesday might straight away assume that those stones in the books might definitely be endorsed by which might actually be also the case definitely in the industry. So get I'm referring in the case of the mask uh, that when they found under the bed that might definitely not belong to Roy. In actuality that not might definitely belong to Sega, might be that related to basic agreements range. So definitely even while Wednesday might have assumed I might have definitely assumed that might have definitely belong to own that the representation might be that mask might inaccurately belong to that Sega, and it might be the mask for mask each of the members of this new secret student society members might have to wear during their meeting, or similar to the night shift from the town, but the present group might be only having a totally different name, and would be also a whole lot less dangerous when compared to the night shift where themselves while Nafisha were as well as Thomas means all the students understanding in the group of night shifts in which Edgar Allan Poe as well as James as well as which might have been members of might have been an extremely dangerous group which might have been totally doing crimes and spring unlike the night shifts in the case of the present group in which most likely I'm probably putting saviors as well as Bianca Barclay might be totally members. Uh, it's definitely my thinking this present group might be way less dangerous and will be only teaming up and joining up and maybe them as well might be by your point of will be having their meetings most likely during night time. But I'm saying they were only discussing the each day happenings of Nevermore and basically there is agreement in the happenings that will be happening each day in Nevermore that the group members will be having that will be they will be discussing between themselves and if there's any student that in particular that they feel threatened by or they have to target or will be involving any sort of disagreements in Nevermore and any sort of stealthy movement strategy they have to this with that assistant to totally counter those disagreements kind of situations in Nevermore, which would be present really along the lines extremely non-serious uh, non-serious topics would be around would be getting discussed most likely might be the case in this new secret society when compared to the secret society group of night shades from the past. Uh, which might have definitely been created by Tender Allen Poe. Might be that activity of situations, but even current. But they were conditions that in present secret student society group one definitely something you might have representation that Savior as well as the definitely will be having the marks and will be definitely 0.1% definitely so present Bianca showing up to the role of Savior Bianca might have definitely brought her marks as well definitely microcredits. And September showing it out with great delay Saber as well as Bianca will be heading off from Saber's home to their meeting because Bianca even showing up Saber's home might be for head off together to their meeting. Secret. So student society meeting might be that to the patient and definitely understand that way Wednesday along with thing would be steadily following them and basically would be at that location would be finding out this location for of where this secret student society meeting even takes place and definitely Wednesday would be steadily stalking that and actually be finding out all the topics that will be getting discussed in that meeting and definitely I'm putting the main topic for that day I'm probably would be ending up between Wednesday as well as Howen. It's definitely my preference. The sudden expelling of Howen without any reasons by being so, as well as Wednesday's claiming of the sort of Howen lately about which particularly moving of the main topic of discussion by this secret student society group on this very nice scenario that I'm particularly putting and my preference. Definitely I'm probably putting definitely at present the entire bus will be having absolutely no idea at all as for how extremely Sega might have those extreme things of affecting to the point of being an obsession towards Wednesday. But I'm different it out with today the entire bus play painfully and softly finding out about it. It's the scenario that I'm different and Bianca will be straight away assuming that Wednesday have that very same feelings of confidence towards like Caesar as well. And that's the encounter something like from that point of realization I'm looking like that Savior is like madly obsessed and in love with like Wednesday. Once like Bianca Barclay eventually understood I think that the scenario where like Bianca Barclay realizing that, and from that point on like Bianca Barclay like we straight away painting Wednesday as of like ultimate target to bring down and basically to either get spells from like Nevermore or to either to falsely frame up in such a way that basically Sailor will be losing interest in like Wednesday. So like that we eventually emphasizing that Bianca Barclay turning out to be such an absolute enemy uh, uh, for like Wednesday, who would be always like still be following Wednesday around to give Wednesday trouble. It's like the scenario that I'm in. But like that whole scenario, I'm looking like eventually let the individual like sorting itself out. And I'm looking like eventually a serious fight between like the entire Barclay and like Wednesday would be taking place in which like I'm eventually Wednesday would be settling this course and like would be offering and feeding the entire Barclay. Like the scenario that I'm in. And in that fight, I'm looking like the entire Barclay will be fully unleashing like the power of like scales that the entire Barclay possesses like and would be fighting off against like Wednesday. But like I'm certain by the like Wednesday as well would have apart from her vision of like Wednesday as well would have some powerful potential would have awakened by that. And that is correct maybe even before that like Friday 13th even happening. And maybe on that very day like apart from like the vision like the actual way of power like getting awakened within like Wednesday is also like about to that. And this fight maybe take place on that day or like maybe after that Friday 13th. So also like an interpossession scenario that which like eventually Wednesday will be defeating the entire Barclay. But like after defeating the entire Barclay, once like Wednesday would be telling Bianca Barclay that like she's at absolutely no interest in like figure at all. Like and yeah, so only at that point that Bianca Barclay would be finally realizing that finally Wednesday would be even able to like get through to like Bianca Barclay would be finally letting go of like extreme courage until that point history might be having towards like Wednesday. And like maybe from that point on I'm looking at like them Bianca as well as like Wednesday usually ending up becoming that absolute great friends and Wednesday maybe even giving Bianca tips as to like how to get Savior to like complete fall power. It's also like an individual possible scenario that I'm looking for and my three understand definitely I'm also putting that drawing by Owens not up. We are like which will be definitely taking place in like the very distant future. That showdown kind of fight scenario in which like putting like within like now not like Wednesday will be facing off against like most likely being like husband like Edgar Allan Poe might be like sitting like human service. And that fight I'm different that fight as well taking place most likely on Friday 13th. It's definitely not different. And that fact of like the date of like Friday 13th I'm different like will be eventually ending up with like Wednesday who would be on the eventually ending up about to like lose against like Edgar Allan Poe and that will last second answer due to like that state fact of like Friday 13th like Wednesday some sort of like an ultimate power like once again awakening within that Wednesday which would be how like I'm probably playing Wednesday will be when they were for an individual Allan Poe in that ultimate showdown fight. It's like also like an angel possible scenario that I'm looking at different and correct. Also definitely like very interesting for like in that just like secret student society group meeting. I'm probably bring among like the members. I'm probably bring apart from that Bianca Barclay who is definitely being a member. Simply like Bianca belongs to like James group like I'm probably bring like apart from Bianca like and Savior I'm probably also bring like members definitely being present from the Frank group, the Vampire Frank group uh, as well as like from like the first group as well as like some of these four distinct groups like another one like there are being multiple members in this like secret Sprung society group meeting as like who be showing up as like members. Uh, it's definitely like in the scenario that I was able to turn up today. So the limit prevention right now is definitely for like maybe for like Wednesday to right now most likely maybe even find out as to like how it possibly maybe being in like an unfair manner like that like Wednesday would have lost to like Bianca in that duel fighting that is in that fight duel fight sword fight like might have it actually through Bianca most likely unleashing her like scared powers and like Bianca might have actually succeeded in being able to like defeat Wednesday. Might be like that could defeat the situation in an extremely foul and unfair manner might be how the actual Bianca might have defeated Wednesday and it's like Wednesday right now most likely while hiding like probably overhearing that as well uh, during like the present conversation between like Savior as well as like Bianca. Wednesday even or hearing and even realizing that as well. Which will be also a great relief for like Wednesday as well. It's also like in the scenario that I'm talking about the train. So like the minimum train right now that is the effect like how Wednesday like the past had the corporate aspect as well as like instead having used like piranha pressure in like the past like and in like in a similar manner like I'm thinking that the uh Wednesday would be still having piranha with like stored somewhere is definitely one temperature. So that definitely in like the PoeCup, like definitely like Wednesday will be using Piranha to fight up against like Bianca like Siren. Like definitely one of the transition as for like Bianca was like understanding like Bianca might be having the power to like transform and turn herself into a siren. And that way it might be like the scale of like the siren that like earlier like was like visible through like at like Bianca's arms I think. Arms are like this area, I think, like basically. So definitely, like Bianca might be having most likely having like the power to like transform herself into like a huge siren. That might be one power of like Bianca, as well as like other powers that Bianca might be definitely for like Bianca either by just like dipping up like finger onto like the bottom, like Bianca might be able to like instantly send like waves like through the water and that way communicate and control like siren in like the lake and that was brilliant. Bianca might out of like as part of like Bianca's preparation like for like the PoeCup like definitely Bianca might have brought her sirens and might out of like put her sirens onto that exact lake where like the PoeCup boat racing will be taking place. Definitely when the reasons might be how like definitely either through such a manner or like Bianca might be like might be able to like definitely might be able to like create like a human inaudible like frequencies and which will be only audible to like Siren might be like it's like another possibility and is like how Priyanka might be while sitting on her boat while pretending to be like racing in like the boat race will be stepped to that way controlling like the sirens in that lake just like Priyanka herself might have might put on that lake each year like for like the boat of like which I think maybe might be taking maybe each year at like now so like each year like which might be exactly like the strategy that like Bianca might be using. And that way, by controlling that the sirens like might be how and giving the order to like the sirens to in that lake to like attack like the boat of the competitors to be how like all the boats would be ending up singing according to like anything like so like it might be all the boats singing might be definitely due to like these sirens and to, like the control of like Bianca that attacking exactly the boats of like opponents competitors of like the entire in the border. It might be like that which is definitely the difference. Like the clear different total piranha like Wednesdays like piranha versus like the entire like fire fight totally happening during like the boat races like the scenario that happens. And that way like Bianca this year solely due to like Wednesday not getting that advantage that Bianca would be having each year in like the PoeCup boat race like due to uh, through like the counter attack by like the piranhas of Legends Day. It's like the winter scenario that I'm looking for like the PoeCup and definitely like in the PoeCup like since it's like I think like it's named after like Edgar Allan Poe like the name is very most likely Edgar Allan Poe showing up to like the PoeCup this year as like a chief guest. It's also like the scenario that I'm looking for. So definitely that way like I'm different definitely the first meeting between like Wednesday and like that absolute final boss villain in like the show Wednesday who I'm talking about like, won't be at all be but like would be most likely going for subject Edgar Allan Poe who might be like the man in that drawing of like that like who's that promotion drawing of that drawing model might be the case definitely my favorite. So definitely I'm looking like the very first meeting between like Wednesday and Edgar Allan Poe so different only happening after like Wednesday could be in that PoeCup race like the team of like Wednesday and anything that would be like repeating like the team of like Bianca Buckley and like would be ending up placing first in that boat race like the finale and Bianca that way facing her first actual defeat and basically once like the winner should be in like the ceremony where like the winner would be winner winner team like the boat race would be crowned like at that point I'm only person definitely it will be Edgar Allan Poe that will be crowning like the winners and that will be most likely giving like maybe a medal or like some other reward for like the winners. So like I'm looking like that will be the point where like the first actual meeting and like first interaction between like Edgar Allan Poe and like Wednesday would be happening is like the scenario that and Edgar Allan Poe will be well fully aware that like Wednesday is like the author of like Morticia, who might have been Wednesday's like ultimate target to bring down in like the past while Morticia as well as like Edgar Allan Poe, as well as things and all might have been students that like and nevermore might have been like the case the film experience. In that way, like exactly like that interaction happening between like Edgar Allan Poe and like Wednesday at that point where I can look friend like Wednesday would be talking to Edgar Allan Poe, who might be even like the culprit behind like that favorite unsolved crime case, which like Wednesday might probably desperately want to like solve like the culprit behind that as well might be behind that crime as well might be definitely Edgar Allan Poe. It's also definitely might be very ambitious. So like that first interaction like an ultimate interaction between like Edgar Allan Poe and like Wednesday happening at that point. Where like after that interaction, like I'm totally different like to be Edgar Allan Poe that is different like would be left feeling even more uneasy after like that interaction with like Wednesday. It's also like the scenario that I'm different and Wednesday as well. I'm totally different would be feeling this to a certain extent would be feeling uneasy after that interaction with like Edgar Allan Poe as well. Is like the within the scenario that I'm in. That way like I'm feeling like that moment to be like the moment where like the protagonist as well as like the final boss villain would be like having the very first like meeting and interaction during that rewarding ceremony of like winning like the poker prize. Is like the scenario that I'm looking at and I believe my book very interesting right now. Like it's between like that sword fight between duel between like Wednesday as well as like the entire Barclay. Like the actual situation might have been like the entire Barclay with her own actual powers might have been actually about to definitely lose against like Wednesday and like once like the entire Barclay realized that like what the entire Barclay might have been she might have probably brought out her siren powers steadily from underneath like the costume and basically uh, and that way like she might have used her powers of like siren like flexibility and agility to be able to like totally uh, to or and defeat like she might have totally relied on that towards like the end to be to even be able to like or and defeat Wednesday in that duel might be what might have happened especially when the original and that league with like Savior as well as like the interaction between like Saber as well as like the entire play were like they talked about like silence like which like Wednesday had like offer like definitely uh Wednesday might have definitely like it might have been absolutely at present might be certain for like Wednesday that like that was solely like through such an unfair and manner was solely how Latvian Barclay was even able to let the stay in that period as well. I do one thing that would be absolutely stuff for like Wednesday at this point that might be like that certain to best but even as well might be that that driving factor for like Wednesday at present like not even forgetting about like the investigation into like the own like history and everything and like straight away focusing on like Bianca Barclay at present like definitely would be solely for like Wednesday to like not only settle the scores but also definitely deep within like Wednesday definitely that bond of absolute conflict might have definitely been formed towards like in similar aspects. So like the name of tension right now is that basically after like Wednesday then or hearing like the conversation between like Bianca and Caesar said like at that point the like Wednesday might have been certainly feeling extremely enraged uh, towards like Bianca that like I'm just straight away after like from like serious room like straight away what Wednesday might have been Wednesday might have straight away got her like piranhas and then just dropped it into that lake where like the focus will be taking place. So Wednesday might have already done that before even showing up to like her own group and like having this finding out about like in Singla basically losing a member in that for like the work in that support and everything might be like it is definitely non so definitely I'm looking like in like the boat race like considering like still remember when this is what like in eventual battle between that Wednesday's like the runner versus like Bianca's like siren like the scenario so like while this battle will be happening like eventually by midway between like that boat race like and like once like definitely Wednesday will be while rowing the boat, like Wednesday will be carefully observing the encounter, especially when finished. Like eventually once that the encounter will make that move and like the Stephanie would be without anyone finding out like what is that getting that bonus to siren that may be present in like the lake to like make to target all the remaining ports. Like at that point, considering like Wednesday as well will be most likely be able to like give orders to like piranhas as well to counterattack like the science and then in that way like I'm like on like the like wind from midway in that like PoeCup both is like important like the lake starting to like turn right it's like the scenario that is so like by the time like the race will be over like and like the entirety of like the lake almost like the entirety of like the lake would be but there's like getting into the scenario that I'm preparing and like definitely all the students all the crowd students and who would be like watching like the PoeCup would be totally shocked at that point seeing like the color of like the lake scenes is like the scenario that and such such an eventual conclusion for like the PoeCup races like what I'm going to be probably putting in my career. That according to my definition for putting like once like Wednesday's team will be repeating like their place team in like the PoeCup like and Wednesday's team will be ending up from like the winners of like the World Cup like at that point I'm predicting Saber to be probably so extremely joyful and excited and basically will be probably running towards like Wednesday congratulating Wednesday with that absolute joy. It's like scenario that so like at that point I was like two extreme setbacks on so reporting has me for like Bianca at that point on top of like embarrassing defeat by against Wednesday like on top of that like I'm totally like also simultaneously could be deep down feeling extremely enraged like on seeing like uh Saber like being so joyful and congratulating and being so happy about that Wednesday's victory. It's also like in the scenario that I'm looking at that point itself, like the Barclay at that point itself will be marking in her mind to like definitely and failing Wednesday as like that absolute target that like she would be bring down either through getting Wednesday expelled or like through any other means will be along the lines of like Bianca will be fiercely totally deciding and making that vote to like herself from that point of like the scenario that I'm just going right now. That we might totally understand right now that Wednesday would have totally right now would have totally fixed in our mind to like definitely to have like this year's like focus that both ways to eventually end up with that not even single for like ending up singing from this year onwards like would be one thing that Wednesday would have only fixed in our mind. So like definitely own a counter attack with like Wednesday's like Piranha, which like would be definitely what like Wednesday would be planning like Wednesday would have definitely fixed in our mind to like not just to like simply defeat Bianca by just like ending up in like first place in like the most race event, but while to start to defeat like Bianca while not only having like Wednesday ending up first in like the boat race, but like a PoeCup race, but like also to like ensure that not even a single uh, both ends up thinking according to and the encounter that plan and slightly thoroughly and completely gets like destroyed. Wednesday's able to like do that, like to ensure like Wednesday's able to like do that will be Wednesday's like absolute ultimate goal. That meet Michael James and that self like eventually ending up being like the scenario as well. Like not even a single sport in that PoeCup this year boat race like would be heading up thinking even though Priyanka will be doing her absolute best to like sing all the boats except for like serious boat. Still I'm looking like in all the boats like not even a single boat like ended up singing it's like the scenario that I'm looking at so that's the name three I'm looking right now. That basically like Wednesday like grandmother as well as like various like original grandmother that will be like Vince like own mother as well as like Savior's like godmother as well. Like I'm looking at these three individuals that myself definitely been also students of that I never know in like the long distance past, especially my mother and we with like the revelation that like the program have been going on for like the past 125 years. Like definitely so definitely I'm just like uh like their grandmothers like Savior as well as like Wednesday like their grandmothers as well as like Savior's like godmother as well. I might have been like all at like studying together and like no back in like just past like students might have been like cities and like they might have all raced against each other in like the PoeCup as well might have been like race so sort of neighborhood. So like back then it might have been Savior's like actual grandmother who might be totally being such mother, who might have probably played the role of that Priyanka, and basically might have like played like the woke up in an unfair manner through like unfair and foul manner, and might have seized her victory or like attempted to like seize her victory. That might have been what might have happened in like the long distance past. Like it's definitely my own very interesting way. About the friendship like that long distance past while like being to like mother as well as like motivation like mother as well as like saviors like godfather like while they might have all been students like and like along with them like and like Edgar Allan Poe's like father as well might have been student at like now and I'm probably like back then like I'm referring like it might have been Edgar Allan Poe's like father who might have been always winning like the sport race back like each and every single year might have been like the case and it might have been solely through such and unfair and foul ways that he might have steadily some that like he might have even been able to like win like the this like board race each year might have been like the case definitely not correct. And that way eventually once like Edgar Allan Poe joined like Nevermore like Edgar Allan as well might have done like the very same thing uh foul ways and might have ensured his laboratory in like the board race each and every single year might have been what might have happened with W. And this might be how Black actually would like portraits even getting known as like the Edgar Allan Poe phrase might be also like what might have happened in like the in the past, especially my book related. So like the one by the question totally putting like an eventual shock twist of like a scenario where like totally putting like after one month of like Wednesday would be ending up becoming like the winner at like the number one spot at like the Edgar Allan Poe Cup sport race. Like I'm bringing once like I'm totally bring at that point like maybe Edgar Allan Poe showing up and basically like congratulating like the winners and giving them a winner badge or something and basically or like a medal or something. And at that point, I'm looking for like a Wednesday in front of like the huge crowd of like students and like teachers like basically Wednesday telling asking Edgar Allan Poe if like basically Wednesday from this very year on like exactly like how she has won like the Edgar Allan Poe Cup in like first place this year like if like the remaining years until Wednesday graduates from like Nevermore if like Wednesday wins like the Edgar Allan Poe Cup for race each and every single year like will they renamed like the Edgar Allan Poe Cup boat race by change its name to like the Adam Cup would be along the lines of like an ultimate question that I'm looking at that point, like staring away man of like a different like Wednesday, like asking like Edgar Allan Poe in front of like the huge crowd of like tourists and like they just like doesn't ask that I'm doing, which like all of them would be seeing as that absolute disrespect towards like Edgar Allan Poe, even like any similar as well would be seeing as like even if they showing that absolute disrespect towards like just like popular and popular alumni of like Nevermore, Edgar Allan Poe. And I'm also bring like at that point like Edgar Allan Poe with like a villain's kind of like smile like on the front, smiling at that Wednesday and telling Wednesday that basically if she is able to, then he would like gladly give. And I'm saying at that one most likely Edgar Allan Poe most likely facing like the students and teachers and would be with that villain smile that to be telling them that if Wednesday is able to like keep her words and basically is able to like execute her words and basically achieve that number one spot in like the Edgar Allan Poe Cup each and every single year from this year onwards until like Wednesday's like graduated, then like he will gladly change the name of like the boat race to like the Adam Cup be along the lines of the story, like Edgar Allan Poe, like only declaring at that point in terms of all students and teachers, and then like Edgar Allan Poe quickly turning back towards like Wednesday and with like a villanistic smile and the like him with like softly telling Wednesday that uh, at that point that like that is if like Wednesday is able to like do it. Would be along the lines of like Edgar Allan Poe with like villanistic smile telling Wednesday softly, which like Wednesday alone would be on the hearing and basically and walking away. It's like getting into the scenario of like the possible scenario that I was remembering. I'm very interested. So like my very interesting right now that the rewards for like winning like Edgar and poker might be like the very same each and every single year. Might be also the gifts that we have experienced. But like this year, like I'm probably trying like being pretty possibly like changing up like the every day this been so like I'm not like the solely due to like definitely, I'm going to definitely I'm talking of the weekends that will be winning this year's like folk Edgar Allan Poe. So like definitely like definitely means would be definitely not won't be able to like have Wednesday get all that extreme privileges because of that means you don't have that fear that is Wednesday. Especially with like Wednesday having like the power of like malicious power of like visions and everything that we like Wednesday also get like that absolute privilege which would be granting a lot of freedom. Like the privileges would be like such that would be granting like the winner a lot of freedom. It's definitely my impression. So not just a winner, maybe like the entire team of like the like that absolute freedom. So like definitely Wednesday getting that absolute freedom would be definitely one thing that like needs to be absolutely clear. So like definitely Queens would be definitely interfering and would be once like the reward of like the privilege would be declared like means would be making up some sort of like an excuse of one reason to like change up like the privileges from that year onward. It's like the scenario that I'm considered for it. Yet like I'm one among like the multiple privileges that I'm looking for it would be definitely like that absolute full permission for like the winners teams to like probably to like leave nevermore during playtime whenever they please like when it's not during 3 hours like they could like totally leave Wednesday leave nevermore during daytime without seeking permission from like the teachers. But like with having like that curfew of like basically having to like run back uh, uh, within like 6 p.m. will be along most likely along the lines of like the one among like the multiple privileges of like the rewards of winning like the healthcare and program might be the case in the minimum level. So like definitely like being some suffering definitely even though badly would be wanting to but still won't be able to like take away that single privilege of like basically that of like basically being able to like leave and nevermore without permission whenever Wednesday wants. Yeah, that privilege and the friend definitely Wednesday will be getting at that point on. Is like doing the scenario that I'm different. Yeah, like I'm different like even so like I'm different definitely whenever like Wednesday leaves like no more definitely I'm like being to be stealthy stalking Wednesday or like I'm doing beings will be pretending to like not be spying or like coming after like Wednesday while still be ordering like either inboard or like content. Most likely inboard since like keyboards like therapist places that will be like at like Jericho. I think so. Definitely, it will most likely be like still be giving like the orders to like keyboard during that point to like okay maybe keyboard sending someone who will be like working to like to totally do the spying of like Wednesday at that point whenever like Wednesday will be leaving whenever more at that point. It's also like an integral of an app that I'm going to the so like the feeling of redemption right now, certainly for like Bianca on the return trip after like getting that the flag like Bianca totally don't think that the someone missing of that ally. So definitely will be a sales members definitely on the So definitely I'm going to bring that sales members might be having like the power to like make stealthy and frequency to like stealthy should be like inaudible to like human one with using it like they might be able to communicate remotely communicate with each other like positive variable. So like that way maybe Bianca on the country. Well, like the competition will be tight, like Bianca at that point, like on currently seeing like like kids member like basically who's like singing like support like only missing like something like being in charge of the community and finding out the situation of like him being trapped with like the net and everything. So definitely at that point, I'm going to bring like two possible scenarios like Bianca either like doing that like remote frequency communication and getting like another skills member to like steadily like jump into like the lake to like help Bianca income state out. It's like one possible scenario that I'm referring for like by the time Bianca would be making up of turn for like I'm assuming like that skills member like still managing to like bring himself from like that net capture position is like the scenario that I'm so like at that point I'm just like Wednesday thing would be certainly pulling like the second lever on like Wednesday's board, which would be most likely definitely the piranhas with the even fish. So like that way, like I'm looking like one like the second lever would be pulled like at that point I'm looking like to be the big game over for like PN like strategy and stuff like that. And basically that way, like Wednesday usually making it to like the finish line, while like the lake would be slowly starting to like turn red. Like the shocking for the remaining like competitors, especially PN like the scenario that available for him. So like the film trends right now that like it might have been that the Wednesday's like grandmother like more teachers mother during her academic days as like a student and like never know that like basically Wednesday right now might have seen through like vision Stephanie while picking the flag Stephanie premise so like that might definitely be Wednesday's like grandmother might be like the case certainly not the pyramid for like Wednesday being like the king like remembering like the week while Wednesday's grandmother was like a student at like never know they most likely along with like the grandmother of like the mother of like beings as well as like the father of like Edgar Allan Poe well they were like students of like never not like totally differing like back then I'm totally differing like like in a similar way, like I'm referring that exactly like back then as well, I'm for like it might have been like Wednesday's grandmother that might have been father student that might have been excelling at Patrick, like the father of Edgar Allan Poe, and like definitely I'm referring back then as well, like Edgar Allan Poe's like father along with like mother's help might have things eventually ended up like probably like getting like getting like Wednesday like a grandmother like eventually hotly framing a case against her. Like then most likely it might have certainly come to friends and eventually might have framed the whole situation into like it eventually ended up with like Wednesday's like grandmother appearing to be like calculated and that way like Wednesday's mom might have might feel like then what I get in feel like Wednesday's like grandmother might have totally ran away. Like never know. Might have been what might have happened certainly and that way like might have been how like Wednesday's like mother might have ended up like with stuff like with support dwindling and everything like which like she had done along with like I think like the Lord Mother of that figure or that like eventually ending up in such a manner might have been due to like most likely Wednesday's like grand as well as like previous like godmother most likely being classmate of like Nevermore and back then possibly being when like friendship strong friendship might have been formed so like that way eventually once like Wednesday's grand might have been usually ended up in like a falsely framed situation where like Wednesday's grand might have decided to like escape Nevermore and run away like at that point like her best friend who might have been previously abandoned might have decided to like go along with her. And that way like them both might have totally um them both might have totally ended up like eventually ended up like swindling and it might have been what might have happened to me on friends. So like definitely according to my friends about the friend that saviors like godmother with all that swindle wealth like might have built a mansion and like and the friend like it might have been like the daughter of like savior like godmother with whom like savior might have grew up with like and her husband might have been with whom like savior might have grew up with and they might have been they might have only either lied to like savior most likely might have lied to like savior about like just like accidental parents, like basically haven't gotten into like a car accident and basically in that and they were alone had like survived. They along the line most likely a life that might have been told by that the thought of like saviors in that thought of to like savior were like in that wealthy mansion like where might have been definitely where like savior might have grew up in definitely for instance definitely like savior might be actually like the son of like Vince and like the Island and for being as well as their running board might have not dropped there for like university and in principle until they might have not dropped there for like season and they might have been totally solely focused on like living to destruction to ensure like living to destruction of the parents family that like they might have had like absolutely no time at all for like savior and as well as like in similar. So like in the case of like savior might have grew up with like the daughter of like in like the mansion by taking by being taken care of by mental health of let's say this government might have been lecture based definitely might have been so that as like say your parents like understand like that that beams might have given them like given like the daughter of let's say god of like say like photo of like two different individuals and maybe somehow Savior might have probably got stuck into thinking that into not realizing into like the system that like Vince and the Run Pro are like the actual parents of Savior and that like Savior's like actual parents are like might be along the line like Savior might be doing some supplement friend. The minimum friendship right now is that basically Wednesday's like grandmother might have totally had like the seer vision power of totally different from that of like more figure as well as like Wednesday where like Wednesday's grandmother's like seer vision power might have been like similar to that of like Bones like mother where like instantly like once like the vision would be having like instantly it will be only getting like thrown off rather than actually seen might be like the case especially when the reaction. So might be the reason for that girl who look in from like Wednesday vision like who looks exactly like Wednesday like holding on to like the book. This might be that the reason might be because of like that book might contain all of her visions that she might have drawn out in that contained in that book might be like the case. So that before leaving and like it might have been that definitely her even saying in that vision of Wednesday saying that you are the key might be something that she might have said even before while knowing like the full and true extent of her power. That is definitely contact would be a huge factor in like in like the individuals with like these patients like basically being able to like have vision in like the future and everything. Definitely not brain vision. So definitely like until this point, like it was always like Wednesday, like totally colliding with like someone or like making contact with like someone like setting in like West actually getting the vision like in the front definitely in the case of like the flag as well as the foreign like the social fact might have been that like in like the Edgar Allan Poe phrase in which like in which like Wednesday's like grandmother back when she was like a student of like Nevermore. She too might have been a student of like Nevermore like one point, and she too might have raised like the Edgar Allan Poe race and of lead in that race. Like she might have been exactly racing on like the very exact team of like the Black Cat, in which like personally in like the person like Wednesday is like racing as like and have like the black flag like the Black Cat team. So like it might not just have been like Wednesday alone, but like Morticia as well might have been in like the Black Cat during her student days, like while Morticia was racing in like the Edgar Allan Poe. It might have been also the case, the female three impression. So definitely this might have been the case. So like definitely like this vision of that like Wednesday right now would be most likely the vision forcefully like created by like most likely Wednesday's grandmother left for like Morticia as like back then like in the vision like even saying that you are the key might have been actually might have been meant for like Morticia to like probably eventually end up in to like Nevermore and basically definitely I'm sure like most of the grandmother might have definitely eventually ended up managing to like have somehow that up to still like and that even though she might have been in an absconding kind of like situation as well, like running away from like Nevermore, and it might have been just to or like running away from like Nevermore that she might have even created this like vision kind of negative by touching like the flag and basically saying that you are the key. Like she might have left from like Nevermore. Might have been what might have happened. Ran away from like Nevermore. Might have been while holding like the book as well. So that like eventually what like Morticia would be like definitely she might have believed that like Morticia would be eventually inheriting her vision powers. And at that point, once like eventually Morticia would be definitely she might have had that absolute faith and confidence that like Morticia would be at that point eventually ending up like in like the entire Olympo is like ending up being in the exact same black cat team itself and on holding like the black flag like for like Morticia to like have the vision and to like see like the vision of like Morticia's like mother like maybe telling Morticia that like you are the key. So like basically Morticia might have gone through this entire thing during the 20 days, but like no, might have been like the case. So like at least Morticia's like mother like once his grandmother might have placed that absolute confidence in like Morticia because like the in the case of like Mokish, Wednesday's like grandmother as well, as well definitely being forced to like run away from like Nevermore. Like such a situation might have happened solely due to like most likely being like the best student at like Nevermore and like surpassing everyone, including like the father of like Edgar Allan Poe. And that way, like most likely due to that his jealousy to like bring her down and like force like 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 father of Edgar Allan Poe most likely having committed like crimes and supposed to be trying to like frame it on to like Morticia's mother and that way like Morticia's mother ending up being in like a situation where like she was forced to like basically like run away from like Nevermore. So like she might have left behind this vision for like Morticia. So that like she might have hoped where she had like really during that point might have attempted to like figure out who was like the culprit behind that crime. It was like falsely uh, accused against like Mofica's mother. Like still she might have failed to like find out like the culprit. So like luckily she might have left before running away from like Nevermore. She might have left with like prison by touching like the black flag while holding like the book for like Mofica, hoping that like Mofica might succeed but like she had to like find out the culprit and Mofica as well during her like 2 days in like Nevermore as well like the similar scenario of like a crime situation might have happened and like Mofica as well getting falsely accused and like Mofica as well that way you have to going through this entire thing might have and seeing all this like multiple visions. Most just well might have seen this exact vision at that Wednesday at present on touching like the black had seen. So like Moksha might have thoroughly hope that she would definitely be eventually be the key that will be solving like the mystery behind like the culprit behind all these crimes and everything. But like Moksha as well might have probably failed, might have been what might have happened. Definitely that's the reason. This might be the reason why like Moksha at present like basically probably bringing Wednesday to lack Nevermore might have been solely due to lack motivation. Most likely only recently might have realized that like Wednesday has attained like the power of like vision exactly inherited like the power of the from that Mosisha. So like definitely at once like Mosisha realized that it might get that point that like Mosisha might have long like almost might have felt that like when space was ready to like space more and basically Mosisha might and almost that person might be believing that this is where that Mosisha's like mother as well as like Mosisha had failed like basically at least Wednesday will definitely succeed and break that cycle Wednesday would be ending up being that actual peak that will be breaking that whole cycle of that false accusation and like traffic of like which might have happened to like the bus to like Wednesday's like run as well as towards like Norwegia. And Wednesday being that he that will be breaking this cycle and like will be finding out the true culprit behind all these crimes and villains and would be exposing their villains and trying to like them their what and bringing them down would be along the lines of like that hope of Black Wednesday's grandmother, which might have been passed down to like Morticia, which might be at present that actors that might have been passed down towards like Wednesday might be like activity with some situation. Definitely might have been very impression ready. So that's a claim of preemption right now is that like Joseph Crackstone might be that in actuality might be that the grandfather of Black Morticia as well as like the founder and principal of Black Nevermore natural it might be that the basis of human preemption. So definitely like back then like the grandfather of like Edgar Allan Poe might have been working as like the one of like the teachers at like Nevermore Academy, the human prevention. And the different what might have happened might have been uh, like uh, he might have been totally against like the like definitely Edgar Allan Poe, like grandfather might have had like villanistic nature with him and like so he might have been totally against like the ways of like Joseph Crackstone, like the grandfather of like Mofisa, like basically how he was like conducting like Nevermore Academy and everything. As for like his position and everything, like secretly he might have been like the grandfather of like Edgar Allan Poe might have been secretly totally against that. So like definitely what he might have eventually done might have been like he might have eventually through such absolute betrayal, like he might have basically totally especially taken off the taken out Joseph Crackstone, like the grandfather of that Mosisha, and like might have made it appear as like an accidental loss of like a loss due to like an attack by time in a box or something. So along this line, some different like technique, like the villain stick, like grandfather of like Edgar Allan Poe might have taken off like Joseph Crackstone, who might be like the grandfather of like Mosisha, might be like active to do this, and since then I'm just like it might have been like the senior most teachers back then at like Nevermore might have been Edgar Allan Poe's like grandpa might be like so like since then like we might have that way possibly that way he might have stolen like the position of like the principal and like he might have decided to become like that. He might have changed with the plan basically. He might have been since then like running like Nevermore Academy since then. Might be like actual contribution, especially mentor ambition. So definitely Joseph Crackstone might be still like known as like the founder and like the very first principal of like Nevermore Academy might be also the case supplementary. So like this at this like trip of like Joseph Crackstone, like I'm definitely there there within that trip like I'm thinking there might be like the grave of like Joseph Crackstone. And I was eventually definitely Wednesday for me rating into that trip and basically eventually touching like the grave of like Joseph Crackstone. And at that point, I was like, and I'm focusing like that to only be even possible for like Wednesday, only in like the way it's complete stuff. And only at that point, I was like Wednesday was only, and that after the realization that basically that Joseph Crackstone was like actually more features like grandfather. And so like definitely the Nevermore Academy was like actually uh, belongs to Mortis's grandfather, and basically like it was like stolen away by like the great Edgar Allan Poe's grandfather through such foul and unfair uh, manner for the villains of and criminal act that he had committed really along the lines of the story when stating in the shop and that absolutely realized it and that 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 way at that point is when I'm like Wednesday will be eventually even ending up seeing that he that will be unlocking that absolute puzzle connected to that Nevermore. There's like the scenario that I'm going to break I'm not today. My best very appreciate that like maybe in like Christian past while studying like Nevermore like both Wednesday's like grandmother as well as like Napisha might have done their absolute best to find out like the true culprit behind like behind like the loss of like Joseph Crackstone, might be like the accurate representation, but like even though both of them might have done their absolute best, like them both might have failed to like find like the concept because like them both might have been on ground failure that like it was like uh, a natural accident or like a situation that had resulted in like the loss of like uh there's a facts on that they both might have believed that like it was like a crime committed by some realistic culprits, but like they both might have failed to like capture the culprit and definitely at present like Motisha as well might be totally facing all of the folks on like Wednesday being able to like solve that puzzle and find like and capture like the culprit and expose that culprit in front of like the narrative with the world. Will be along the lines that Moksha might be able to place that absolute confidence on like Wednesday. It's definitely might be the day that new mentoring. So like the new mentoring right now so that like the circle of from that's strong on like the feeling might be definitely the key to like unlock like just like secret library where like all the books containing not just like the future premonition drawing of like one's mother alone that will be present, but definitely I'm preparing like for the future premonition drawing which like Wednesday's grandmother as well, since like in like Wednesday's version that she as well was like holding on to like a book that book might definitely contain like the might definitely contain like the most crucial among like the user promotion drawing that like when said like grandmother might have drawn, especially when among that there might be for a great number of other uh, great number of books containing like the user promotion drawings which like when this grandmother might have drawn. But like I'm like since like that vision of like when state might have been right before like when Siram might have been able to like escape from like now she might have only been able to like take like single book containing the most important and crucial drawings in it might have been the case. So like all the remaining drawings like containing in like the book containing most likely the great number of books might already present in most likely this like secret library within like Nevermore, and like the key to like open that secret library might be definitely that circular like complex like drawing on like the ceiling which like Wednesday right now after like winning like the focus has basically seen on like the ceiling like so rotating that circular symbol like drawing object would be like how like this like secret this like thought to like the secret library will be appearing in that exact room area might be like that with the situation demonstrated. So like definitely most likely Rowan through his lab vision might have actually found out about this might be what might have happened with demonstration. That way like since like Rowan has like the power of like telekinesis like Rowan might have been easily able to like rotate that like circular complex like drawing object in like the far height in like the ceiling using his like telekinesis power, and that might be how like he might have gained access to that library secret library of magazines and might have gone through that book. Might have been what might have happened 70 months ago. So like that they are looking for like Wednesday, figuring all this out not right now, but like I'm just like it would be only in the future. Definitely was for like this like one might have at least given like right now that would be given Wednesday like the strong feeling that basically most likely like that books most likely being present like somewhere around that area would be definitely the feeling that Wednesday would be. Yet like I'm just like definitely Wednesday eventually some of us sneaking out in like the middle of the night and basically to be searching around all that area surrounding that location where surrounding that location where like index feeling was like circular like complex like symbol will be present is like the scenario and like Wednesday not being able to find it out it's like the scenario that happened and like an extremely disappointed like Wednesday leaving is like the scenario that happened and I'm preferring only like the symptoms that Wednesday will be finding out that basically the key to like finding that secret library containing like all those books. This basically to lack rotate lacks that the complex symbol, circular symbol high up in like series in that area. Around the like Wednesday would be only figuring it out only in like Wednesday feature and like they on the screen to be only in that feature that Wednesday would be gaining access to that secret library and the books. So it's like the scenario that I'm sort of bringing in information. So that's the answer in some right now. That is naturally at present that it wouldn't just be that Wednesday and Morticia alone that will be like totally alike. But about which like Wednesday is like not that much like certain about, but like it will be also like the similarity of like the spring rotating itself. Just like not only like with not only that exactly like Morticia like of like the Julia Hall like basically winning like the PoeCup and at present like Morticia thought like Wednesday winning like the PoeCup and basically repeating itself, but also like definitely back then while Beams was like more treated like co-pilot, like I'm referring like at present like definitely like the co-pilot in like the present day like PoeCup victory of like Wednesday. It takes Wednesday like taking the role of like the captain, role of like Ophelia on while in a singular team like the co-pilot. That as well would be a total history repeating itself again might be like that kind of situation definitely because of that definitely because of like in its singular like most likely being like the dot of like things might be like that kind of situation about which like in singular as well might be totally unaware. It's definitely like very rich. So definitely that might be the case definitely when so like in singular as well might have been lied to by like the guardian who might have taken care he might have taken care of like anything left. But soon like anything that might have grew up with definitely not predator. So that means that that guardian might have been like according to like Queen Flex the orders might have been like to like anything that most likely that like either like anything that was like an abandoned child or like had lost of like parents in like connecting or something. Might be along the line something like anything that as well might have been lied to and even to the person like anything like anything that might be totally unaware that like seems like anything like maybe also the active certification that need experience. So like this might be the reason for like me even like looking at like anything before like telling Wednesday that like Wheels was like the co-pilot of like Nokia back in like the past during like the PoeCup that Nokia might be like this might be like the reason for that. It's definitely not strange. It's like the name of the preemption right now. It's definitely for like Wednesday right now most likely find it like the either the picture or like most likely them dealing with the positive like most likely being like the drawing of like Wednesday itself that of like a girl who looks exactly like Wednesday in like basically exactly like the one that Wednesday had found in like the room of like Sailor like I'm like Wednesday finding such drawing such absolute classic with like that of like a girl with that same face of like Wednesday most likely and one of like the books in like the in this like secret library where like Wednesday have already made it. It's definitely not great and that being like the only thing that Wednesday won't be seeing coming and like that unexpected thing that is thoroughly shocking and surprising Wednesday and like Wednesday would be initially straight away assuming that like basically it might be someone's like maybe like around like mother's like future promotion drawing of that Wednesday but in actually like I'm looking like that might be but like that I'm talking about won't be like at all like the drawing of that Wednesday by that around like mother which might have been like that drawing where like Wednesday that fights up against like this like that will be of it and the running go and that drawing while that drawing is definitely like the drawing of like around not like I'm thinking this drawing where like it will be just like the face alone of like Wednesday like it's like the ones Wednesday had found at like Savior like around that drawing might definitely be Wednesday's drawing but like it will be most likely the drawing of that Wednesday's like grandmother might be that the case is definitely might be very good. So like that drawing is what I'm like just there right now, most likely finding in this like uh, library right now, and which will be most likely maybe shopping at Wednesday like scenario that I'm looking at right now today. So like the payment preemption right now that like definitely might have not been a scenario where like Beams or like Kinbot or like Thornhill actually finding out about like Wednesday like okay like having found and integrated into that secret library might certainly not be the case, certainly not correct. The actual situation at present maybe a different might be like there being a timer for like how long that the secret door to like the like secret library will be remaining open, which might have been definitely present as like a plus in that exact Reddit, multiple Reddit that like let's say has solved of like a Reddit code. Like there might have been also the clue containing like the time limit of how long that the door will be remaining open before like the door would be closing. And at that point, from like the inside, like the door definitely might not be able to be opened. Maybe like that's your situation definitely not the like, it might not be possible to like open the door from like inside at that point. It like might be like a case definitely not the situation. So definitely this might be like the perfect situation of like let's say definitely not the and that way like I'm gonna like Wednesday still from within that library I'm totally prepping like Wednesday initially like desperately trying to like make it out of like trying to like desperately trying to like do all sorts of like ways and strategies to like reopen that door and escape from like the library, but it won't be possible. So like at that point, Wednesday, I'm protecting also like checking that like that letter that like of like the that words of like the riddles that the Wednesday has written on like the paper like and the door and like Wednesday checking all those riddles and only at that point like Wednesday probably shortly realizing the like door out of lost limit is like the scenario that I'm yet like I'm maybe in that riddle itself like Wednesday maybe eventually figuring out like another clue as to like basically as to like what to do if like basically an individual gets trapped in that secret library, which would be definitely to like escape through another door which might be open within like this like secret like the library. So like as to like how to like open that other door like I'm thinking like Wednesday was like figuring it out either through like the very paper that she's holding, which like the riddle that she had solved, uh, solving another riddle and that it figuring out how to like open another door from within like the secret library is like one of the scenario where or like I'm by like checking like all those like multiple grades and boxes in like the library and like in from one of like the books like and like Wednesday only figuring out like this like another secret way out of like the secret library and like through that way, like I'm assuming like Wednesday, what like Wednesday will be making it out of like the library. I'm looking most likely that different door that will be opening up would be leading to that proceed an extremely narrow passageway, which would be eventually ending up that passageway will be most likely eventually ending up in that exact box, like both like Nevermore, where like all these like recent three victims uh, three people have fallen victims to like attack of like this like monster. This like here which like sheriff the sheriff like kind of sort of the sheriff is like investigating everything. So like that exact box is where I'm referring like at that point like from like the secret library like Wednesday will be escaping and making it through is like the scenario that I'm doing. And so like that way once like Wednesday would be finding out that like the secret of like basically and at that secret box where like all those like recent crime cases have all taken place. Like at that point itself on the from that Wednesday will be seriously feeling that absolute extreme suspicion of like the possibility of like Queens possibly the possibility of like being behind those like multiple crimes. It's also like feeling the scenario that I'm also talking about and my friend. Yet like for Wednesday at that point like still Wednesday will be having that absolute tough task of like basically being able to like catch Queens red handed and basically to collect evidence and basically to eventually hand over to like the sheriff. And only at that point, like basically all this like suspicion that like Wednesday at that point would be and strongly feeling towards that game would be even having any value in their own the lens like Wednesday would be feeling so that from that point on like Wednesday would be planning on like basically patiently like spying on screens like I'm putting like the like sides turning and like basically this entire time was like being like stalking and spying on Wednesday and with like things usually shifting from like Wednesday from that point on like starting to like steadily spy and even sending things as well to like steadily spy and like on like things it was an arc that I'm about to go and frame.